Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on a sunny Sunday afternoon. We're all here to talk about a topic that's quite relevant in the current situation on presentation skills, media training, and the do's and don'ts of virtual meetings. We are focusing primarily on A-level students who are applying to university to study medicine. We understand that the traditional way of face-to-face interviews will not be happening in certain universities. It's going to be done in a similar format like we're doing now over Zoom. So we just wanted to sort of equip you with the necessary skills so you can really perform and excel at your virtual interviews so you're able to successfully get a place to study medicine. We will start off with Sohail Chugtai. So if I can let you introduce yourself and start off with your talk. Thank you.
Much I appreciate the preference given the program. It's a very tight program. I want to keep myself very brief. 15 minutes presentation. I'm an orthopedic surgeon based in England, in London, and also a medical legal examiner. At the same time, I did my Microsoft PowerPoint certification back in 2001, and I've been training in PowerPoint, and I've done about more than 80 one-day PowerPoint courses in different medical universities in 5 or 6 countries, including Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, America, Britain, UAE, and England. My other role is being a digital health and telemedicine director for LPPS UK. So I want to start now, and let's use this time in a more efficient way. So what we're discussing today is how to create PowerPoint presentations. PowerPoint is the medium, and how to create medical presentations using PowerPoint. So there's a science behind it, and then there is a methodology. So I want to touch briefly on this topic. Anatomy of a PowerPoint presentation. What makes a PowerPoint presentation? First of all, let's say tomorrow you have a PowerPoint presentation, or the next week, you're given a topic. I normally visualize my topic. I see that topic in front of me as a picture. And that topic could be knee pain. I could see a man walking with knee pain, and I want to understand what people want to know about knee pain. Who is the audience? The second part is who is the audience? Is the audience junior medical fraternity or a senior medical fraternity? For junior medical fraternity, you would like not to give information, but experience. Sorry, for a junior medical fraternity, you want to give instructional presentation, like a differential diagnosis of knee pain, for instance. But if the audience is senior, you want to share experience because they already have the knowledge. Then decide the type. Your presentation could be instructional presentation, where you want to show on the slide a process. Or it could be opinion-based presentation, where you want to share an experience. You don't have to show the process. So you would need less stuff on your slides if your presentation is more for experienced people, because they want to know your experience rather than the process details. But for a junior level, you need to go into process details. Then organize the content. I normally make a folder on my computer and start putting everything into that. It could be an email, it could be a slide, a PDF file, a news cutting, a picture, a point, even a voice recording, I think of that. So I put that every content into one folder and then start linking my slides from that. Then of course, before I start doing it, before this, I'm in the planning phase. In the planning phase, I will choose a theme and fonts, and I'll show you what is the technique behind it. Then comes the process of making a presentation. In that, I would personally do last slide first, because this is the take-home message. And I want to anchor myself what I'm going to leave at the end of my talk. Let's do that first. And then the whole presentation of mine is based on that last slide in my mind. That am I getting that message across? So I suggest that you try this and see how much focused you will be. Create subtopics list. Then I would make list of the topics in my presentation, subtopics. Then elaborate each topic as one presentation. When you're making one topic, a discussion, that is the only thing you're thinking about. You're not thinking about other subtopics. So try and focus on one topic at a time. That can also allow you better time management. Then mix your text with media, stills, audios, videos, so that you break the monotony of text. Then of course, the other part is that you professional conduct on the stage, and then your professional knowledge should reflect. It should be evidence-based conversation. And then a bit of humor in that would also help. Now, what is required to be an effective presenter? First of all, the primemost thing is hands-on knowledge of your topic. Are you working as a hired wisdom, like you've read about it, but you haven't tried it? That's a totally different ball game, because somebody will knock your feet off by an awkward question. Best present what you've actually done. Second thing is, can you connect with the people? Can you look into people's eyes, or can your voice capture that audience? These are skills beyond being a medical presenter. They would mean your socializing skills, how good communicator you are. And that is not to do with a medical presentation. The next part is, of course, the knowledge of the medium, whether you're using a simple JPEG slide viewer or a PowerPoint or Prezi. There's so many softwares. PowerPoint is one of the most common one. So I'll stick myself to PowerPoint today. Now, what are the important considerations which I want to share with you today would be, first of all, when you make a slide, please do not put more than 5 bullet points. Please do not put more than 5 bullet points. I can repeat it once more. Please do not put more than 5 bullet points in one slide. And that is maximum. Now, 5 words in one slide, one bullet point. Do not make a sentence. Do not put prepositions that he will do that. No. Make a statement like PowerPoint changes medical perspective presentations, like vaccine arrival can change COVID. So put a statement, no prepositions, no is, no are. Don't make a sentence where you have to put a full stop at the end. That's not a bullet point, by the way. Then when you have 5 text-heavy slides consecutively, make sure the next slide is an image slide. Otherwise, it's been research proven that people, after 5 text slides, try to look away and want to take a natural break. And then, of course, there should be a readability, a contrast between the fonts and the background. You won't be putting pink fonts over a white background or yellow against white. And remember one thing, whenever you do a presentation, you are the presenter, not your slides. And that is where things go wrong. When we put our slides before us. I'm going to reiterate that a little more later on. Now, making an impression, how do you do that? By putting yourself first and let you lead the slides. And as this is a research now, that your knowledge is 90% of the people, the impression you leave on the audience. Whereas your people skill is 75% contributory to your impression. Whereas your PowerPoint skills, you don't need a lot of PowerPoint skills. Only 60% of that matters. Now, there are do's and don'ts for engaging medical presentations. You may notice that engaging medical presentations is constantly, if I go to previous slide, one thing is static. That is engaging medical presentations. And that's my theme. So I want to put that on every slide. And you see the position is not moving. The position of engaging medical presentations is not moving. It's locked because I want you to understand this is what I want to leave. This is the topic of my presentation. So the do's are, of course, your content must be readable. You cannot put a whole page of a book on that and understand and assume that people have read it. It should be authentic. Either you've got a literature reference or you've done it. You should be able to connect with the audience. And then things we need to avoid are the don'ts. Information overload. We keep saying it, and this is so important. Then distractions on the slide, like too many animations, right and left, boxes dropping and slides moving away and all the whoosh sounds and all that. They are distractions. And then conflicting yourself, like saying that, oh, I'm sorry, this is not what I meant, or saying, perhaps. If it's your material, you can't say perhaps on your own material. You can give opinion, but you can't say maybe on what you put on your slides. You have to be very assertive. Now, the technical side of it. It's too short time for me to go into technicalities. I mean, I take normally 1 to 2 days to explain PowerPoint. Now, this part is good. You can see the text over the background. Look at the lower part. That's awful, isn't it? You can't read white over yellow. And then very busy backdrop, and then shady backdrop. This is a bit punchy, but quite strong. But too many slides of black and white can actually tire the visual capacity of people in the audience. So choose a background which can make your theme of the presentation. I normally choose a background which is the background of most of my pictures. If my images are X-rays, I usually choose a blue and a gray. If my images are pictures, I usually choose yellow and white. So for example, this backdrop is suitable for when your presentation has natural ambient pictures, like outdoor pictures. Whereas if it's a medical material like ECGs, X-rays, other three backgrounds could be suitable. Especially when you are presenting in a place when there is daylight coming into the hall, try and use a darker background. When the daylight is there in the auditorium, try and use a darker background. Now, which one is bad slide? Let's talk one-to-one now. Left or the right? In my view, it's left, because if I have to stop and read all that, I might consume more time. And if I skip it to save time, people have lost it. This slide is a better one on the right-hand side. Now, this is a bad slide, but I want to actually go through this one because this very bad slide has very important points. The text on the slide is more than what your audience can read. That is too bad. You can't have this situation and then impress the audience. Audience is not sitting in a library reading a book. Instead they've come to listen to you. You can't disrespect their time by asking them to read a whole page of the slide and then move on quickly before they've read it. So spelling errors like this and wrong grammar will annoy your audiences, like this is a wrong grammar, audience. So inconsistent format is not pleasing to eyes, just like this. Do you want to be an audio aid to your slides? Ask yourself this question, that are you reading your slides? So that means your slides are the presenter and you are just a voice narrator. Do you want that role? Slides are visual aid to you. Please remember, they are following you, not you are following them. The literature support to my point is enormous. Here are 2 paragraphs from Harrison to support my point. If you cannot read, go home and open page number 243 and read the book. You did not need to come to listen to me. That is what we do. We put whole pages of book in the presentations, and then we say, I've given the information to people. No, you have not. You've actually disappointed them. And that is difference between good and bad presenter and good and bad slide. Now, just take a look at this slide. Take a look at this slide, and let's say if it's my slide and I am the presenter, and I'm expecting you to read that, and suddenly I remember the snaring eyes of the host, like no time left. So I say quickly move on like this. What will be your face? Touch that face on your screens, the right or the left. I'm touching the face on the right if I'm the audience. I don't think anybody would touch the face on the left. You'll be totally unpleased and dissatisfied with this presenter. So this is a scheme I do. I normally start, I divide my presentation into four or five subtopics. I write them on the left-hand side. I put an image which is thematic for my presentation, and then put the topic of my presentation and sub-theme right here. So that's my introduction slide to my topic, and that subtopics on the left-hand side. And then I duplicate that on PowerPoint, and then I create a next slide, and then I make it gray, and then change this image according to that topic. And then I could duplicate that slide and make it gray and put another image according to that topic. Then I duplicate it and so forth till I complete my subtopics. Now I'm not preparing presentation yet. I am creating bridges between the topics of my presentation. Then I will use these 4 slides between my subtopics, so I can keep my audience anchored to my presentation. That if I move from one topic to another, they will see that I've already spoken about another topic in just a few minutes ago. So I keep my audiences anchored as I move along and navigate. Normally I tell them that I'm on slide number 18. They see that. In the beginning, I'll tell them I'm going through 25 slides. So they know that the end is not far. And believe me that PowerPoint has a lot more. I mean, today is too short time for me, so I'm just closing my presentation. I just want to show you one little element that how can within PowerPoint you can create an animated pointer. For example, I want to illustrate this lesion. I've just created this dot, and within PowerPoint, if this is a PowerPoint slide, I'll click and take a look. And you can all do that. It's not difficult. Then this ECG, for example. And then this angiogram. So this is all very, very basic stuff in PowerPoint. And if I had time, I could have gone through a lot more detail. But today is not a technical discussion. Today is just trying to express that please remember the basic rules. People are there to listen to you. They are not there to watch slides unless you're explaining a very, very instructional concept. Then you can go in details. So be a presenter and be a leader of your slides rather than an oral narrator of your slides. Thank you very much. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chugtai. That was a very interesting talk. I mean, having gone through university and training and listened to hundreds of presentations, it really sends home some of the messages that you do say. One of the things that, I was just reflecting on your talk is, whenever I've sat in presentations, is if the presenter is just verbalizing what's on the slide, it's hard to read or listen to. You want to do one or the other. And I think your message is having 5 simple things with 5 just words per point. It tells the presenter, it reminds him what to talk about, and then people will be focused on the presenter, not on the screen. And I think that's one thing that's really important. Sometimes when people are saying what's on the presentation, sometimes in my mind I'm saying, can I just read your slide, because it's very text heavy. So it's just a really good point. But thank you very much for that.
I just want to make one point, that if you're able to give your presentation to people in paper, you actually have not presented. You've given them a manual. Thank you.
We've got a question from Alia Riazia, who says, how can we use body language and facial expressions to present ideas when answering questions through online interviews? Is there any of the panelists that want to answer this question?
I can take this.
Yeah, of course.
Right? The body language is when you're speaking truth, when you're speaking honest, and when you're speaking of your experience, really you don't need to think about body language that time. Body language is required usually when you are trying to hide your weakness or you're trying to read someone else's literature. Let me elaborate that. It could be controversial statement, but I want to elaborate that. When you're speaking truth and when you're speaking of your own experience, your own knowledge, basically your hands start moving, your face starts glittering, your eyes lock, your voice raises, your body becomes alert, you become passionate. And that is the body language. You convey through your body, through your words. Even if you don't know the language of that person, you will try and convey that point. So the body language is drawn into the passion of your conversation. But if you don't have first-hand knowledge of that particular topic you're being talking about, fine. Then it's all grammatical. It's all mathematical. Your shoulders should be in the middle of the screen. If you're looking on one side, there should be 2/3 space which side you're looking at, and 1/3 space here. That's called as breathing space. Your head should be not more than a palm's width below the screen if that's online. And then your voice should not have a lot of accent or expressions. It should be very methodical, very kind of a straightforward answer without any emotions. But that may or may not leave an impression, but that will convey the information.